Welcome to the journey to discover the creepy mysteries and haunting stories in the history of world aviation. Today, we will review the top 3 most terrifying plane crashes that have ever happened. Let's explore with me the shocking plane crash involving the legendary Evansville Purple Aces basketball team. It was December 13th, 1977, and the sky over Evansville, Indiana, seemed darker than ever. The Evansville Purple Aces basketball team, young, passionate men, had prepared carefully for the flight to play the Middle Tennessee Blue Raiders. They carried with them dreams and hopes of a victorious game ahead. But who would have thought that it would be a one-way trip that would lead them to a tragic end? Air Indiana Flight 216 took off at 7:20 p.m., carrying 29 people, players, coaches, parents, and crew. Minutes after leaving the ground, the plane suddenly shook violently. The pilots lost control, and the plane plummeted toward the ground like a bolt of lightning. Everything exploded in a terrifying moment, turning the plane into a pile of ash. All 29 people on board were killed with no survivors. The talented team was gone forever, leaving behind a heartbreaking legacy for their families and fans. But that was only the beginning of the story. Amidst the tragedy, one lucky survivor emerged. David F., the team's star player. He had missed the flight with his teammates that day because of an ankle injury, and everyone thought he was the only lucky survivor. But fate decided to add another tragic chapter. Just 2 weeks after that terrible tragedy, on December 27th, David and his brother were on their way home from a basketball game. They were having a good time on the bus, unaware that death was lurking. Their car suddenly lost control and crashed into a large truck on the highway. The impact was so strong that both brothers were thrown from the car and died instantly. David's death was like a cruel curse, taking away the last soul of the team. No one could explain why these disasters happened so quickly, as if fate had conspired to bring them all together in one incredibly tragic scenario. The entire city of Evansville was silent in the pain of loss. The University of Evansville erected a memorial, engraved with the names of all the members of the ill-fated football team, including David F., as a reminder of unfulfilled dreams and the fragility of human life. Do you believe in fate? Is everything preordained? Or is it just creepy coincidence? Flight MH370 tragedy, unsolved mystery. On the night of March 8, 2014, Kuala Lumpur International Airport was as bustling as ever. Hasty farewells, good luck wishes, and smiles greeted Malaysia Airlines Flight MH370, scheduled to bring 239 people safely to Beijing, but no one knew that they would never reach their destination. At 12:41 a.m., the Boeing 777-200 took to the dark sky, carrying hopes, dreams, and unspoken words. Good night, Malaysian 370. Those were the last words Captain Zahari Ahmad Shah sent to air traffic control. Minutes later, MH370 suddenly disappeared from radar screens, as if it had melted into the infinite space. No distress signal, no warning, just an eerie silence. News of the flight's disappearance spread like wildfire. An unprecedented search was launched, mobilizing more than 26 countries and dozens of aircraft, warships, and modern satellites. But all they found was the emptiness of the vast ocean. The undulating waves seemed to be teasing humanity, challenging anyone to explore the mystery it concealed. As the days passed, hope faded, leaving only confusion and grief. Nearly 16 months later, as the world seemed to be losing steam, a piece of the plane's wing washed up on the shores of Reunion Island, thousands of miles off course. It was the first clue, but it did not provide answers, only more terrifying theories. Was the plane's systems hacked remotely? Did the pilots deliberately steer the plane into a deadly trajectory? Or is there some conspiracy we've never even considered? The story of MH370 has become a haunting tale that haunts the world, a chilling reminder of mysteries beyond our reach. The families of the 239 victims are in a constant state of grief. Sleepless nights, desperate phone calls, tearful prayers, all in search of an answer, an explanation for this mysterious disappearance. They long for a miracle, that maybe one day the plane will reappear from nowhere, carrying the loved ones they lost. But to this day, MH370 remains an unsolved mystery, A ghost of the sky, a story without an end. That fateful flight disappeared with 239 souls, leaving behind countless unanswered questions. 3 Japan Airlines, Flight 123, 1985. On August 12, 1985, Japan was about to enter the Obon holiday season, one of the most important holidays in the land of the rising sun. At Haneda Airport in Tokyo, Japan Airlines Flight JL123 was ready to take off, carrying 524 passengers and crew to Osaka. The journey would only take about an hour, but it would become the deadliest aviation disaster in Japanese history and the worst plane crash involving a single aircraft. At 6:12 p.m., the Boeing 747 SR-46 lumbered off the runway, carrying people eager to reunite with their families. But just 12 minutes after takeoff, as the plane reached 24,000 feet, a loud bang rang out from the rear of the plane. Cabin pressure suddenly dropped, oxygen masks fell, and the entire plane shook violently. The controls failed to respond, leaving Captain Masami Takahama and his crew completely out of control. Life and death moments in the air. In the cockpit, alarms were ringing. Captain Takahama, his co-pilot, and 2 flight engineers struggled to keep the plane level. But they soon realized that their giant plane had completely lost control of its tailplane, a vital part that helps a plane maintain its balance and control its altitude. The cause was that the tail of the plane had been torn off, damaging the hydraulic system. No longer able to control the direction of flight, the plane wobbled in the sky, continuously circling in a state of near freefall for more than 30 minutes. Inside the passenger compartment, the scene was utter chaos. Crying and screaming in panic were heard everywhere. Some people, knowing that something bad was happening, wrote their last words on pieces of paper or napkins, hoping that they would reach their families if they were not lucky enough to survive. Mount Osataka tragedy. At 6:56 p.m., after a desperate attempt to find an emergency landing site, Flight JL123 crashed into the slopes of Mount Osutaka at terrifying speed. The impact created a thunderous explosion, turning the giant plane into a fireball, leaving charred debris in the middle of the jungle. Of the 524 people on board, only 4 survived. They recounted the terrifying hours spent trapped in the wreckage, with faint cries for help all around them. But what was even more heartbreaking was that it took rescuers more than 12 hours to reach the scene, making the chances of survival for the injured even slimmer. Haunting investigation and shocking revelations. The lengthy investigation that followed revealed shocking details. A seemingly insignificant detail led to the tragedy. In 1978, the Boeing 747 had crashed when its tail struck the runway during a difficult landing. However, instead of replacing the entire tail section, Boeing's maintenance team patched it up with a metal cover and rivets. This substandard repair technique resulted in the joints succumbing to the pressure, eventually causing the tail section to burst after 7 years of use. Worse, the backup hydraulic system was also completely destroyed when the tail of the plane came off. The crew could not control the plane, and the tragedy happened just because of a mistake in the maintenance procedure. The victims' families have called for clarification of the responsibilities of Japan Airlines and Boeing. In the end, the leadership of Japan Airlines had to bow and publicly apologize, while many officials and engineers responsible chose to resign or even end their lives because of the burden of guilt. Thank you for watching until the end of the video. If you find it interesting, please like, share with your friends, and comment your thoughts. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss more interesting videos in the future. See you in the next video.